Hello friends, this is going to be an amazing session where I would be sharing with you 10 interesting tips and tricks that you can and that would help you actually in your day-to-day usage of Canva. This would be a mix of some amazing apps or some hidden tricks, some hidden tools that you haven't known of before, but you really miss them, or you do miss them because you do not know of them. So let's skip without wasting a lot of time. Get started with our tip number 1. This is about custom gradient in shapes and lines. So let us add a screen. You wanted to add some gradients to the shapes and the lines, but wondered how do you do that. So this is a shape and that's a line. Now I want to make some or add some gradient effects to this. How do I do this? That's very simple, I would say. So you go to the colors, and over here when you scroll down you will see the option of adding gradients to it. Now if these preset colors do not suit your need, you can add custom gradients to this as well. And how do you do that? So you go to this, instead of solid color, click on the gradients, and now you have the option to choose the different colors that you want. So these are the 3 colors that are there in the gradient. You can add a 4th color, or so let's add this as the 4th color. So here we have the 4th color, or we can remove and we can add a 4th color to be the white maybe, or a little later one. Yep, this one, and then we can see the different variations that we can have around the gradient. So that was how you add gradient colors to the shapes. And now let's see how do we add gradient to the lines. Let's make this line a little, have it given a bit more of weight, and then look for the options. It's a very similar option, very similar way approach. You can either choose any one of these pre-chosen ones, or you can go back here, go for the gradient option and add the colors that you want to add. So that was how you add gradients to the shapes and the lines. That was tip number 1. Now, tip number 2 is adjusting the shape and size of the frames. Now you must have used this in the past. I would remove this. Now these are the frames. Now, what are frames? I think you already know that. If not, I'll just quickly show you what these frames are. So you can have this frame, and now you can go to uploads and pick any one of this as an option. So once you drag over here, it automatically takes the shape of the frame. So that's what a frame is. Now what this tip is about, that you can adjust the shape of the frame. So this is a square frame, but do you see that you have the option to change the size? So you can change the shape of the frame without making an impact on the image that you later transpose. Like this is a circle, you have the option to change the shape of this frame. You have this, again you have the option to change the shape of this frame as well. So that is only possible when you have the option to change the size of the frames. Not all frames would you find this option of changing of the size. Like for example this one, you see, you do not have an option to reduce or increase the height or the width of the frame. So these are not editable. Only the ones that are the basic ones, you can do this. Now let's once again try uploading some images. Let's say I want to upload this one. Just because I changed the size of the frame does not mean that it would have any impact on the quality of the image. The image remains the same. So even if it was a circle, I changed the shape of it to an oval, and now it becomes an oval without distorting the image within it. That's what I mean to say. I hope this is clear. But still, I think we have certain more frames where you can adjust the size, and those frames are like the letters. You see, you have the option to change the size. Go back to uploads. So you have the option to change the size of the letters as well. So that was tip number 2. Tip number 3 is related to the frames, and that is why what we will do is will not remove these frames. Tip number 3 is, let me add, okay, remove this, and have these 2 frames only. Why these 2? I'll just let you know why. We have the option that we did not have before, is to add an outline to it. We can add custom borders and corners to the frame. Now what are these? If you see, you have the option to add a border. Now you can choose the type of border that you want to use. Then what you also can do is change the border weight or change the corner rounding. What does this do is, if you see the border weight, this is the change that happens when we change the border weight. And when we change the corner rounding, you see this will make the corners of the letter A rounded. Now this will be very useful when you design something. Similarly, if you have a look at the star, let's say we use this one and then we increase the border weight and the corner rounding. This changes the shape of the star a little and makes it look so different. So that's tip number 4. Very often we face a situation like this where I uploaded an image over here. So I go back to uploads and let's say I uploaded this image into the frame. Whenever I move this image around the frame, it automatically pulls it up and uses inside the frame. Now let's say there's another image that I want to use, but not inside the frame, but outside the frame. But what happens is whenever I take an image and I move it around, it gets pulled by the frame. Now how do I make sure that this image does not get pulled inside the frame but stays out of it? A very easy option way is to press Ctrl or Command whenever you are moving this image or above the frame. So when I press on Command key, since I'm using a Mac, you can use a Control key if you're using a Windows system. And now when I move this image around, it no longer gets soaked by the frame. Now, why would we need something like that? Let's say clouds. Let's say I want to use something like this. I change the background color to this. Now, if I were to not to press Control or Command key, it gets taken inside the image, but I do not want it to be inside the image, inside the frame. So that is why I press down the Command key and keep it outside. Now this way, it remains outside the frame. Gives you a fair idea? Okay, so that is the importance of controlling the frames and the images that you want to put inside the frame and the images that you want to keep outside the frame. That was tip number 4. Now, tip number 5. Tip number 5 would be adding a wavy effect. What is this wavy effect? To the texts that we add. So let's say I want to wavy and I increase the size. Let's say baked as one text and fresh as the other text. Now I want to add that wavy effect. What that wavy effect means is you would understand it in a while. Now I use the curve option and reduce the radius and make it something like this. So let's say 50 is good. Similarly, I go to fresh again, go for the curve, but this time I get it below 100. So that is into the minus. So that was plus 50. I would do it to be minus 50. And here we have it. Here we have the wavy effect. That's the wavy effect of the text. Next is an interesting app which I'm sure you must have been struggling with that particular issue a lot, and that is looking for brand logos. Let's say you are creating a YouTube video and you want a YouTube logo, or you want an Instagram logo or a Facebook logo. How to define that? A lot of times when we search for it in the elements, we do not get good logos or good options to choose the exact ones that we want, the exact one that the brands use. So what we do is we go to apps and we look for an interesting app that is called Brand Fetch. When I click on this app, I click on open it and you'll see an interesting magic happening here. And this is, now if I want to get the YouTube app logos, I have all the logos that YouTube uses. I can in excellent quality, all the different colors that YouTube uses its logo in, the different icons, and what more interesting is you also get the exact color codes that the logo is being used in, and the images as well that the brand uses for its marketing or something. So that was for YouTube. You can similarly do it for Instagram, the color, the images, and so on. So that was Brand Fetch for you, the tip number 6. The next one is font combination. what is this font combination? Very often, since we are not designers or we do not understand designs or typography, we get confused about, or we are not sure about what kind of brand combinations can be used. What these brand combinations are, I'll show you. So that to you here, if I go to text, sorry, the font combinations. So the font combinations is the two different types of fonts that can be used. You will find a lot of them are premium fonts, which you might not be having access to as a free user, but there are free fonts as well. So this, for an example, is a good font combination where we have a particular font. If we click on this, you see the top one is an Alio and the second one is a Monster Italic, which looks a good combination to me. Similarly, there are other options, like this is another option. We have this as Lato and this as Lato again. Okay, in this case, both are Lato fonts. Let's look at this one, like and follow. It's Cooper BT and Courier New OS. So these are good font combinations that you can use in your design without knowing the typography and the stylings. So that was understanding font combination, the number 7 tip. The number 8 tip is using the photo colors in your design. Let's pick up a photo, any photo for that matter. Let's say I want to use this as a photo in my presentation. Now I have an option. Now I want this to have a color that is close to the colors that are inside this place. How do I do that? I go to the color option called line colors, and if I scroll down, we have an option to choose the photo colors. Now this is the photo and these are the related colors. So I can use any one of these colors, and that makes your entire design experience extremely consistent. So that's using the photo colors. That was tip number 8. Now we have tip number 9, that is again use of one interesting thing which you might be using a lot of time, that is using mockups. Now what these mockups are, I'll just show that to you in a minute. Now these are some things similar to a frame, but not exactly a frame. What I mean by is here, so these are the different mockups that we can use. These are similar to frames, but more useful than the frames are. And we also have an app called Mockup, which connects to the mockup software. Okay, yeah, this is what I wanted to see. And these are again some set of mockups, which looks very realistic and can be used really well. Like this one, or let's say this one. Now what you can do is insert any of the image. Let's say I want to insert the image of my YouTube channel. This one has come. I take a screenshot of this. Okay, I won't be able to take a screenshot of this, so let's not do that since I am already recording a screen. So what I do is I pick up any one of the image elements, go to graphics, post this one. So if I drag and drop it over here, that would go inside the mockup. See, it looks so real and natural, and that is what mockups is all about. That was step number 9. The another app that we have for you today is Canva. What's that? That is creating waves effect into your in Canva. If I open this, this is the waves that I'm talking about. Now you can customize it in different ways. You can use the solid, you can use the gradient, and you can use only the line. You can use the curved ones, you can use the pointy ones. Now currently this has 3 layers. You can increase the number of layers to 3, 4, 5. You can have different color variations, different types of color variations, different level of complexities, height variations, generate again. So you get an infinite number of options, and the best part is it is free to use. Now you can also change the color from here and use it in different ways. This is a very interesting and a useful app that can be handy whenever you are creating a new design. So I hope these tricks were of great help to you, and we'll keep sharing new tips and new tricks. Until then, have a great and a wonderful day. Bye bye.